Hello, this is our second special edition of HBM's Crypto-Corner. Today we're going to be looking at footprints and footprint casts. We're going to be looking into Cliff Barackman and Dr. Jeff Meldrum's research and their cast database. So let's get started. Dr. Jeff Meldrum has been looking into the Sasquatch mystery for quite a long time. In fact, he was looking into it in late 1995 when he was on the program Hard Copy with the late Richard Greenwell, and they were looking into the Redwoods footage, which has also been called the Playmate footage. Well, back in February of 1996, 20 years ago to be exact, Dr. Meldrum and his brother were driving back to Idaho from a visit with Dr. Grover Krantz in his laboratory in Pullman, Washington. They dropped in on Paul Freeman, and Freeman told them, hey, I found a set of tracks not too far from here just this morning. And Meldrum was credulous. He's like, wait, are you kidding me? Are you ribbing me here? You actually found footprints this morning? So Freeman showed them where the footprints were, and they took Freeman back to his house, went back to town, got some plaster of Paris, went back to the site, and casted these footprints. Here's one of the casts right here, which appears to show a mid-tarsal ridge or mid-tarsal break. This one is called the half cast. Now, some may think, well, what do half casts really tell us? Well, they tell us about the midfoot flexibility of the footprints, the footprint casts. This was the first time that Jeff Meldrum realized, oh my gosh, these things are real. And this was, he acknowledged that these were real footprints. And that's despite the 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 perception or the claims that Freeman was a hoaxer and things like that. Freeman said, "Oh, Good Morning America, he's hoaxed footprints," which that clip could have been taken out of context. It could have been edited, perhaps. That's always a possibility. We are talking about the mainstream media. Do you really think they're going to tell the truth on everything? Especially Sasquatch. But this isn't really a comment on the media. But yeah, very fascinating stuff. And it's been 20 years, and Jeff Meldrum is still plugging away at it, and I commend him for it. And speaking of Dr. Meldrum, he put out a web page which is called Evaluation of Alleged Sasquatch Footprints and Their Inferred Functional Morphology. This was sometime around, I guess, the early 2000s. And you can see there's photos of when he and his brother were told about the footprints near Walla Walla, Washington by Paul Freeman, as I just mentioned. And these are some of the photographs and some of the casts as well that he took. Here's some more of them. And of course, the morphology of the Patterson-Gimlin film footprint, especially the mid-tarsal break footprint. Right here you can see the midfoot flexibility. And here's a model based on, this is of course the human. This is the human morphology, and this is the Sasquatch morphology. But there's other footprints. There's the one from Peter Byrne from the early 60s, Al Hodgson from 1963, the Patterson-Gimlin film. This is, I believe, Onion Mountain or Blue Creek Mountain. Here's more from Onion Mountain or Blue Creek Mountain, the Grays Harbor cast, the Cripplefoot casts, and several others. So we are talking about a good deal of footprint information from Dr. Meldrum, who is an anatomist and an expert in foot morphology and human locomotion, or at least locomotion of upright primates. So, really good, some really great information. Back in 2009, the series Monster Quest had an episode where they went to Colorado to investigate a series of killings by some unknown creature of cattle and elk. And nobody could figure out what was killing these things. But there were footprints found and photographed. And those footprints were sent to Dr. Jim Halfpenny, who's an expert in animal tracks. And he's very open-minded about the possibility of Sasquatch. But, I mean, he's appropriately skeptical. He wants to see the final proof before he actually commits to anything. And also on this episode, one thing they did was they performed a compression test where they built a device which was it was made out of wood, and there was also a footprint shaped device or apparatus, and the compression test showed that they were doing it to compare how that would work compared to the way a Sasquatch footprint presses into the ground. And as I recall, I don't think they really came to too many solid conclusions other than that it can be done, but it doesn't mean it was done. But it's a fascinating episode nonetheless, especially for the footprint information. So I recommend checking it out. Nearly 2 years ago, Cliff Barackman was a speaker at the Ohio Bigfoot Conference. And the day after the conference, during the Ohio Bigfoot Festival, he put on a casting class, and I actually videotaped his casting class as it was going on. And these are two videos. There's parts 1 and part 2 on YouTube, and I posted those to YouTube, of course. And his methods of casting footprints, I think, are pretty solid and pretty sound. He, of course, didn't find any Sasquatch footprints to cast, so he utilized his own foot. And I think it was a very impressive demonstration. And maybe Cliff will do that again this year and have another footprint casting class for this year's Ohio Bigfoot Conference as well. If he does, I will be videoing it, and it will go on YouTube, believe me. Speaking of Cliff and casts, he was very intimately involved with the London Trackway, which was reported, and can you believe it's been 4 years since that event happened? And he and others casted about 72 footprints. Now, Cliff has kind of gone back and reassessed this and thinks there's a possibility that they were a hoax. Now, I don't know for sure. I mean, Cliff may have a point, but then again, you know, he may be wrong. He may be completely off base on this. I have a copy of one of the London tracks, and it's pretty good. If it's a hoax, it's really good. It's a good hoax. But I don't know for sure if it's a hoax or not. I mean, Cliff believes they may be hoaxes, but I'm not even sure he's really certain that they are hoaxes. He is only, I guess, speculating at this point. But if they are hoaxes, then this demonstrates how to spot a hoax, if indeed they are hoaxes. So we can at least learn from this, if indeed they are not what they are represented to be. One thing that Cliff has been involved with for a few years now is the O-ring Pendeck project. He's been involved with it with Adam Davis, and some of the footprint casts that they have received have been quite fascinating. And I have a couple of copies of some of those footprint casts, and they're really, really interesting. And you notice, you see some of the photos, they do appear to look like hands. They almost look like hands. But be assured that they are feet. They're not hands, although they may appear to be hands. And Cliff has been able to obtain several copies of footprint casts from Sumatra. And he's had some problems with some of them, trying to get them through customs and things like that. He mentioned that in 2014 when he gave a presentation at the Ohio Bigfoot Conference, that he's had a few issues getting them through customs, because generally it's not advisable to send dirt through the mail or through especially international mail. And he's had a few issues getting a few of these casts, but he has been fortunate enough to obtain quite a few of them. So it's a really great project. I highly support it. And there are those who think that if there's going to be proof forthcoming of any hairy hominid or hominoid, it's going to be the O-ring Pendeck. A lot of people believe that they are going to be discovered first before the Sasquatch or the Yeti or any other unknown primate. So yes, I highly support the O-ring Pendeck project. And finally today, we take a look at Cliff Barackman's cast index, and he's got quite a few footprint casts in his collection. Or, well, I should say, a lot of them are copies, of course. But he does have a few originals that he has either casted himself or have been casted by others. Some of the more recent examples are pretty interesting. Here's one from Oregon. Now, the story behind this one, the Skokomish River in Oregon, he actually was a speaker at the first Oregon Sasquatch Symposium, and he got a report of footprints the night of the first day of the symposium, so he had to leave the symposium to go investigate, and I think that was a good thing. And now you can see there appears to be some kind of a footprint here in the dirt. And we have the Bull Mountain, Georgia footprints, which turn out to be from a bear. But I think Cliff included them in the database because they teach us, I think they teach us how to identify what sometimes are misidentifications. And it's not uncommon to have misidentifications between bears and possible Sasquatch, as far as footprints are concerned. Although, when on Finding Bigfoot, on the episode that they found that they were told about the footprints, he said these were the best footprints he'd ever seen in the ground. But they turned out to be bear. But I think it teaches us, again, it's a teaching moment. It teaches us how to identify and how to ascertain what is real and what is not. And what is Sasquatch and what is bear, or what is cougar, or any other kind of, or even, of course, hoaxes. So anyway, that is it for this week's HBM's Crypto Corner, the special edition. And we'll be doing this once a month. We're going to have another one next month. I'm not going to say what the subject is. It will be involving Sasquatch, however. And next week we're going to be back to our regular news, some regular news items, things like that. I do want to make an announcement that tonight, now we were supposed to have him on last week, but he wasn't able to make it. So hopefully he'll be able to make it this week. Tonight on the Looking for Bigfoot News Hour, we're going to have Jesus Jr. on. Now, for those who may not know who Jesus Jr. is, he is an actor. He's also a Sasquatch researcher. If there's any fans of the show Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul, they have seen Jesus Jr. as Gonzo. He is Gonzo. He was Gonzo on Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. So we hope to have him on tonight. That'll be 8 Eastern, 7 Central at Skinner 1472. That's the channel here on YouTube. So we hope you guys can tune in for that. And then Friday night, we're going to have our second edition of the year of Sasquatch Theater. We're going to look at the capture of Bigfoot. And we looked at the curse of Bigfoot last week, and I think we need something to wash our palate, or to cleanse our palate, because that one was pretty bad. It was really bad. You know, we spent half the time laughing at it and mocking it in Mystery Science Theater 3000 fashion. So anyhow, that'll be this Friday night. I believe that starts at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, and that'll be on the Skinner 1472 channel. And then Saturday night, Shane and I on the Breaking Bad cast channel, we're going to look at the season finale of The X-Files. And we're also going to talk about The Walking Dead and Better Call Saul. So it's going to be kind of a loaded show. That'll be at 8 Eastern, 7 Central on the Breaking Bad cast channel. So those are just a few announcements. And of course, almost forgot, if you've been paying attention to this channel, you saw I made the announcement on Sunday that the final speaker for this year's Ohio Bigfoot Conference has been announced. It will be none other than Bobo from Finding Bigfoot. So there are 5 speakers now for Ohio. There's Bob Gimlin, Guy Edwards, Cliff Barrickman, Sabella Irwin, and James Bobo Fay. So that's it for the announcements for this week. Thanks guys for tuning in, and we will be back next week. And until then, y'all be good or be good at it.